Okay. It says I'm live. Quality looks shit, although I'm not sure if that's actual quality or if it's just a little stream preview quality. Not sure the best way to check that. Again, no one's even here. This is mostly a test slash homework stream. So if I go to the stream on my phone. Okay, no, cool. So the quality is there. The little stream preview, the quality looks like it's in, 2p. But yeah. So, this felt better as a stream, so I'm doing it as a stream. I was recording it as a video, but it felt better to do as a stream. So I was part way through something and then decided, you know what? I'll do this stream thing. Why not? Why not give it a little look see? And for people who are subscribed to me, maybe they'll see this and think it's neat or something. Anyways, so the reason I'm doing this stream. Oh, hey, the preview has good quality again. That's nice. Actually, I should probably edit the category gaming. Yeah, gaming. Alright, cool. I'm in gaming now, which is more appropriate than entertainment, I suppose. Anyways, the reason I'm doing this stream is, again, partly a test, partly because I have a thing that I wanted to do. It was just on my mind. So yeah, there's a Reddit thread a couple of months ago on the DnD Next subreddit where basically someone was saying, "Hey, 4E fighters had all these cool things. How come 5E fighters can't be cool?" And more or less, I have a couple of screenshots from a comment that it's got under my skin. I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and it's just been getting to me how wrong this person is. So here's the first comment that they said in response to the OP commenting about how fighters have tactics and they have different things that they can do in combat as opposed to the 5e fighter, which is basically just, oh, I get one opportunity attack and then I can't really defend my allies. Here's the thing though, which is an annoying thing to say, but I get it. Sometimes you're trying to point something out, but especially when you disagree with someone, hearing them say here's the thing though is the most annoying thing ever. But anyways, here's the thing though. Once you start looking at all the classes in 4E, they all boil down to the same thing. He says AE power, I assume he means AoE power. Every single class gets AoE encounter or daily powers. Every single class gets big damage single target encounter or daily powers. Every single class gets like 4 out of the 5 of the following of their encounter or daily powers. Spend hit dice to heal, which he means healing surges. That's another annoying thing when they get terminology wrong. Move enemy, hold/stun enemy, add bonus modifiers for allies, or subtract modifiers for enemy. When every single class basically does the exact same thing as every other class, they'll usually be a bit better at one thing, but every class can be okay at that thing with the right selections. Then all the classes start to feel the same. Most people had the same reaction as you their first game. Holy shit, this class is awesome. By the fifth character, you go, oh, they all have the same capability to do the exact same thing, so why is there even different classes other than the flavor text when the mechanics might as well be copy-pasted? Yes, you had different builds by selecting different encounter and daily abilities, but when nearly every class has nearly the same selections, it got old real quick. The longevity just wasn't there compared to any other edition of D&D. Which, few things for this person. First of all, considering people still talk about 4E and, people seem to really like 4E, I would say the longevity is there. And second, I don't know what the hell he's talking about saying that every class can be good at everything. Or he says they can be okay at everything with the right selection. Which, no? Incorrect? And when someone calls him out, he's like, good job, you found the one, they're so good at the other 4 out of 5. But the 5 things that you listed are, everything possible. So unless he's saying, no, each class should only be able to do one thing to make them feel different, then it's what the hell are you talking about, dude? Anyways, and I have another screenshot. Someone said, oh, I had a cleric and a warlord, and they play differently, and neither of them could to get up to the DPS of the warlock that was also in the same party. And he says, they didn't choose abilities that let them do that then. The cleric and the warlord. Classes that are definitely able to get up to really high damage, just like a warlock, a striker, a class built for damage. By level 10, every class had the ability to do anything between all the power selections. Any class could have an ability that let them heal in combat. Any class could do AoE damage. Any class could do big single target damage. Your one single group just chose different abilities. My point was there wasn't class distinctions, just encounter and daily chosen power distinctions. Which, the classes certainly are different. I don't know what the hell this guy is on, which is why I have, a wizard pulled up here. I have a level 10 wizard pulled up. And I was just gonna, I was thinking about going through the abilities and just, reading them out and being like, can the wizard do everything? No, especially healing, but wizards didn't really get big single target damage. Wizards got a lot of AoE damage. Wizards got good single target control. But wizards generally couldn't do big AoE damage. And wizards certainly couldn't heal. Nowhere near good enough for them to, pretend to be a cleric or something like that. And also, the classes did have distinctions. Wizards and fighters did not play the same. Even if you're saying, the powers, the fighter can take AoE powers and the wizard can also take AoE powers. Yeah, sure. The fighter had some limited AoE capability, usually in a close burst 1 around themselves, very rarely further than that, which is why the level 7 fighter power Come and Get It is so good, because it's a close burst 3. But even then, even Come and Get It, it's a close burst 3, but it's a close burst that pulls enemies adjacent to you, and then the attack itself is a close burst 1, so even then, it's still everyone adjacent, because they're a fighter, and they're using a weapon, so they can only attack people that are adjacent to them. Guys. So, anyways, that's why I just wanted to talk about this, pull up a wizard. I have the wizard daily attack powers pulled up right now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to keep this stream going. Honestly, this was partly just a test to see, am I even capable of streaming? Which, I see the little green YouTube dot, so I guess I'm fine, I've got excellent connection, apparently, so that's nice. But yeah, I just have the wizard powers pulled up. It's just this guy's just wrong. He's wrong, and it's annoying, and it was just on my mind, and maybe I'll make a proper video like I did with Puffin Forest, or maybe I'll just, not. So let's look at some wizard powers. And I'm only going to be looking at the attack powers because, obviously utility powers are the ones where wizards are more likely to heal or do other things. But this guy also makes some weird comment that every class gets the ability to do 3 weapon damage and push enemies in an AoE or something. It was a very weird, specific claim. And it's like, bro, why are you being so specific? I understand hyperbole is a thing. I am no stranger to hyperbole. But he was so insistent that every class gets an ability to do 3 dice of damage in an AoE. And it's like, what are you talking about? So anyways, let's look at this wizard, powers list. So at level 1, you take Acid Arrow, which, big range power. So you have a primary target to do 2d6 damage and ongoing 5 acid, which ongoing damage was normally limited to daily powers, so that makes sense. 2d6 plus mod damage. Sorry, 2d8. I don't know, I'm a fucking idiot, I guess. 2d8 damage plus mod. There are encounter powers that do that. Like, if I go to all of the encounter powers, where's Burning Hands? Right at the top here. Yeah, 2d6 plus mod damage, and then half damage on a miss, which is part of why Burning Hands was so good, because it did half damage on a miss, which is this is almost at the level of a daily power, which is, interesting. I guess the trade-off is you have to be close, because it's a close blast 5, so... And it hits everyone, so it hits your allies as well, so, But, Burning Hands does 2d6 in an AoE, and half damage on a miss. If we go back to our dailies, Acid Arrow does 2d8 to a single target, and then you make a secondary attack where it's centered on the primary target, and then you do 1d8 to everyone around, and then ongoing 5 acid damage. So, it's good damage, but again, it's spread out AoE damage. It's not single target good damage. Arcane Whirlwind, this is an area burst, but it's a far away area burst. Each creature, 2d6, and then you slide them 1 square. So, again, AoE, similar damage to Burning Hands, so I'm not sure if this means Burning Hands is, overtuned, or the wizards just aren't meant to, do big damage, and Burning Hands is about their level 1 damage output, 2 dice plus mod. And then this creates a control effect, because, wizards are controllers, where you can slide creatures in the zone. And you can, sustain it. So, that's fun. You get to move people around. It does some damage. That's fun. Bewitching Charm. Now, it's a charm power. So, probably only targets... Oh, no. Each creature in the burst, in an area burst, and the targets are all dazed. And if they fail their save, they become immobilized. And even if you miss, they can't take opportunity actions, which is fine. It lets you move around the area, so that's fun. The Charm of Forbiddance. 3d8 intelligence modifier damage. So this is, more damage. 3d8 is, typical damage for level 1 daily. 3 dice of damage, fighters and stuff, they get 3 weapon damage as well. But yeah, 3d8, half damage on a miss, and they take, psychic damage whenever they hit or miss you or an ally. So that's fun. It's a control effect in that the enemy doesn't want to attack, although calling this control effect, it's very soft control. It doesn't actually stop the enemy from doing anything. It just punishes them when they do. So yeah, Flaming Sphere, you make up Flaming Sphere. And any creature that starts its turn next to the sphere takes a little bit of damage. And as a move action, you can move the sphere. When the sphere appears, it immediately makes the following attack, and while it persists, you can use a standard action to make it do the attack again, which is 2d6 damage. And for a minor action, you can, keep the sphere around. So, again, very soft control of just, do some more damage. So, that's power, it's Flaming Sphere, it's a fun little Flaming Sphere. Fountain of Flame. This is what I'm familiar with. I took this on my very first wizard that I ever made. Area Burst only hits enemies, which is, nice. Error. YouTube is not receiving enough video. As such, users will experience buffering. Well, how do I make it not do that? Yeah, all of a sudden, internet got real shitty. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like anyone's here, anyways. 3 people have come in here and then gotten bored by my shitty ass reading. Yeah, I don't know what's the deal with the internet shitting out. Is this just what happens when I stream? After I stream for 15 minutes, everything gets, I don't know. Whatever. The stream's probably a bad idea anyways. I'm not, because it's just me reading the powers, right? So it's nothing special. Honestly, the idea for this stream, I don't even know if this is, I mean, I'm guessing by the time that it's just a VOD, it'll be fine. My OBS is green at least, so whatever. If you were watching this, I'm probably gonna end it because I seem to be having issues that I, cannot solve. But at any rate, it says poor. I mean, yeah. Anyways, I got a like apparently. Thank you, whoever liked the stream. This is mostly a test to see if I can stream, but maybe I'll just go through the powers on my own and make some notes and talk about it at some point. But this Reddit guy was wrong. Someone was wrong on the internet, and I had to let them know that they were wrong on the internet, which is, that's just how it is, right? I don't know. This guy was annoying me. I had an idea. Honestly, reading all of the powers out loud, especially with no one to bounce off of, harder than I thought it would be. I thought I could just, be like, oh, look at all the powers, but there's certainly a lot of powers, but this person just had some opinions, and I was annoyed by it. And that's basically it. Oh, hey, excellent connection again. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for saying the connection's excellent again. Really, yeah, appreciate it. Stream is healthy once more. But yeah, like I was saying, Fountain of Flame is one that I'm familiar with. Only hits enemies, 3d8. It's this one does a bunch of damage, but again, it's AoE damage, so not exactly the big single target damage that he was saying everyone gets. And B, it only hits enemies, which is nice because you can, your allies can gum up the enemies and then you can just do burst and does damage. But yeah, I think I'll probably just cut this off. Look, again, AoE. Grease, which is like basically only control, no damage at all, which is fun. Here, you know what? I'll just look and see see if there's any big single target, things. Horde Whispers, again, an AoE. And targets are slow to take minus to their attack rolls. That's fun. Phantom Chasm, again, AoE, and targets are immobilized and they get knocked prone. That one's another one that I'm familiar with. Because the wizard that I played, it was the Essentials Wizard, which is the only Essentials class that I like. Because They just played like a normal class instead of, having all their powers restricted. But Phantom Chasm is another one that I had on that same wizard. Only enemies does damage, they're immobilized, and they get knocked prone when they're in the zone. Which prone and immobilized, I'm pretty sure immobilized means you can't stand up. So, that's fun. Ray of Fatigue, okay, single target damage, 2d8. So, it's like fine damage, but that's like encounter power damage for most classes. So, yeah, again, not like giant single target damage. This is pretty good single target damage. So, there, you got me there. This is okay single target damage, 3d6. It's decent. Sleep does no damage at all. Best memory with the sleep spell is in high school when I first started playing. My DM, he DM'd for 2 separate groups. And one time we all got together for, just like a little like get-together party thing. And we did a PvP thing. The enemy wizard cast sleep against all of us because we were all close together. Stream quality's poor again. Awesome. But my friend was playing a Githzerai, which basically their racial encounter power is give you and basically all your allies a +2 to your will defense. And that made it so the sleep spell missed everyone, which was pretty funny. The enemy wizard is like, all right, I cast sleep. And honestly, we all would have been screwed because I could not, even though it missed, you're still slowed, save ends. And I just could not make my save. I was slowed forever. So I would have been unconscious forever. So it would have screwed us, but my friend used their power and saved us all. It was quite funny. It was pretty funny. Wait, let's see. Slimy Transmutation. No damage. Turn the target into a tiny toad. Spirit Rend. Alright, 3d6 damage. It's in an AoE. So, again, decent damage. It's in an AoE, which is the thing that matters more. It's a summon. Summons are always fun. You summon a dude. And you can give the... when it dies, creatures next to it take poison damage. That's fun. So, you can give it the standard action to attack 1 or 2 creatures for, decent damage. And summons are fun because, yeah, they have intrinsic nature. If you don't want to waste your standard action, it does its own thing. Although, the intrinsic nature is usually hit or miss, whether you want to let it just do its thing. So if you haven't given it any commands, it attacks or charges the nearest creature. And if it cannot attack or charge, it moves 5 squares towards the nearest creature. In addition, you take damage each time you take a standard or move action before the end of your next turn. Damn. It's not even typed damage, so you can't even, if it was fire damage, you could be a tiefling and then not care about this. But since it's just untyped damage, you just fucking eat it if you don't command it. So that's interesting. And the symbiosis effect, which is, as it sounds like, while it's present, you get some sort of beneficial effect. Each creature you hit with a basic or at-will attack takes 5 damage if it makes an attack before the end of its next turn. So, this one's another, soft control, the creature takes damage type thing. Sorry, talking, all this talking, not used to talking this much. I'm probably just going to end this after the level 1 powers, since I'm already so close to the end. It's still a lot of talking, even if I'm just glancing and being like, this is AoE and stuff like that. So, it's a Dust Devil. Dust Devil does AoE damage. And it slides the target, which is fun. And if you haven't given it any commands, it attacks an adjacent creature, and if it can't do that, it moves towards the nearest creature, and you fall prone. See, this one's not that bad, because you fall prone, You still make your attacks just fine, I think. I forget if you take a minus penalty. But if you were planning on moving anyways, you just use your move action to stand up, and then there you go. And while the Dust Devil's present, you get a bonus to speed and a bonus to defenses against opportunity attacks. You know, that's fun. The Fire Warrior. You summon a Fire Warrior. Oh, yeah, it says it gets a bonus to AC and Fortitude because normally summons just use your defenses. So the Fire Warrior is a bit harder to hit than you are. Oh, and the Fire Warrior doesn't have intrinsic nature. Oh, this must have been a dragon thing specifically. So the Fire Warrior, if you don't give it commands, it just, you know, chills and stands there and gets in the way, I guess. So for standard action, you can have it attack something, and it has an opportunity attack, which is fun. So basically, you put the Fire Warrior somewhere inconvenient, and if enemies pass by it, then it attacks. Not very control-y, and the damage isn't very good. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend taking the Fire Warrior unless you're, you know, like an all-in fire build. But even then, you could take Flaming Sphere instead. But anyways. Watery Sphere. Not a Flaming Sphere. It's a Watery Sphere. It's almost the opposite. So it's an area burst, and, you know, creatures in the burst, they're immobilized and gain combat advantage because, you know, they're in the water. And miss, you slide them 3 squares to a square adjacent to the burst. So even if you miss, you, like, spin them around the water, which is neat. And it makes a zone, and the zone's difficult terrain, and you get cover, like, through the zone because it's hard to see, and you can move the zone. It's called a zone, but, you know, it's supposed to represent, you know, it's a watery sphere that hangs out. I don't know why they didn't make this a sphere like the Flaming Sphere, like a summon type of thing, but whatever, sure. So this one doesn't do damage at all. This is another control one. And Windblade. You conjure a Windblade. And, you know, you can do stuff with it. One creature adjacent to the blade takes damage, and you slide them 1 square, and you can sustain it. So, yeah. Anyways, this is my mostly test stream, so I can stream stuff that's not too intensive, so that's nice. Maybe I'll be able to stream games. Who knows? Anyways, don't see anyone chatting in chat. Apparently I have concurrent viewers, you know. So, thank you for viewing, if you've viewed me. I have a couple of likes. That's fun. But this is basically it. Thanks for coming. Leave a comment if you have suggestions for stuff you'd like to see from me. I'm a guy who enjoys D&D 4E, so if you have anything 4E related, you know, people making wrong statements about 4E or whatever, feel free to leave a comment about that. But yeah, that'll be it from me, I guess. I'll be ending the stream now. Again, like the description said, this is mostly a test, but I'm glad some people came by and seemed to enjoy it. So, thanks for the support, I guess. That's it. I'm really awkward. Okay. Bye, everyone. See ya. Bye-bye.